Okay, well, G of t was seen to be 0.015 times this. We verified the distributive law gives you this. And then multiplying through by the 0.015 and subtracting 20, we get this. So there's our G of t. This is of the form. Okay, so now we can answer some questions. First of all, what are the vertex and the y-intercept of the function?
Well, the intercept would be 76.
Yeah. Okay. Y-intercept is when t equals 0. G of 0 equals 0.015 times 0 squared minus 2.4 times 0 plus 76 equals 76. Okay? So now we know something about the graph of this function. I didn't ask in the problem to put this on the graph, but I could have. So you know you have the point 076. Right?
That's Y-intercept.
Now, what do we know about the vertex?
Vertex shift.
Yeah, if we look at the horizontal and vertical shifts, okay, if we go back to the original function here,
80 negative 20.
Not going to be able to put that up there. No, I can't get it up there, it's going to fall off. But the original function, as we saw just a few minutes ago, the vertex doesn't move. The vertex is at the origin, right? When you do a vertical stretch and you move it 0.015 times as far from the x-axis, well, it's on the x-axis, so it doesn't go anywhere. So the vertex stays where it is. Then you shift it 20 units down and 80 units to the right, so the vertex should be
80 negative 20.
at 80, negative 20, because of the horizontal shifts. So we come out here to, let's say here's 80 and here's negative 20. So here's 80, negative 20. This means now that our graph should do something like this. I didn't draw that very well. Okay? So it's not a very good parabola, but you get the idea, okay? Now, how do we verify that the vertex of this function really is at 80, negative 20?
Factor?
You could factor this, but you're going to have trouble factoring that.
Yeah.
Okay? That's going to be a pain to factor. Okay, so good idea. But there's some things you need to know about the factors that you might not be ready to connect because we haven't even talked about it. Okay? Still, good instinct. Now, you think, can I factor this? Well, you try to factor that and you find out you don't want to mess with it. Okay? Well, what's a quadratic formula tell you?
The slope is 2.4.
Okay, well, what is a quadratic formula? There's your quadratic formula for a function of t, right?
If and only if.
Yeah, well, I'm writing down the formula. There's the formula. The full statement of the formula says
T equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus c.
So if you plug the numbers in there, what will happen?
Well, A is 0.015, B is negative 2.4, C is 76, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can plug those numbers in,
Yeah.
What is,
and it tells you where this thing is going to be 0, right? Which is going to tell
And
you
then-
where it
and then you
intercepts
just
the
plot the
x-axis.
point?
I'm sorry?
and then you just plot the points after, fine with the,
Yeah, you could. It depends on what you want to do with it. If you just want to answer the question, okay, if this is your depth versus clock time, when is the depth equal to your 0? Okay? And that depends on where you got your meter stick to measure depth, right? You know, maybe the thing doesn't stop until down below 0 or something. Okay, there are many ways that can occur. So we'll tie this in with the entire flow model, okay? Still, okay, your quadratic formula tells you this, right? Also, how do you get the axis of symmetry? Everybody remember?
The axis of symmetry.
I mean, like where it cuts off in the middle?
Yeah. The vertical line
Yeah.
that divides your parabola into two mirror images, right?
You just do with the vertical line test?
No, vertical line test would show you that it's a function, but you know, we've kind of established that, okay?
But you just,
So,
like, divide it
axis
by
of
two?
symmetry. Remember this picture? Are we doing that? Yeah, I think I can prove that I did.
I
Okay.
don't remember.
Yeah, well, see, what I've seen on the test is that there are things that
That you did.
theoretically people would get if they reviewed thoroughly, that they didn't. Even though the test came out more or less pretty much okay, you know, grades range from 60s up through 90, okay? So, I'd like to see it a little better. And one of the points I want to make is that you need to do a good review before you take a test, right? Because that's where you pull things together. Okay, anyhow, your axis of symmetry is T equals negative B over 2A, which comes directly out of the quadratic formula, because negative B over 2A is halfway between the 2 points where the thing is 0. Now, this is something we really want to lock in now because we're formally studying quadratic functions, right?
Yeah.
Okay? But this is all stuff that we've done that I want to remind you of so that you know how important it is now. Okay?